everyone, it's Nadia, Jake, Sedona, Buddy, and our Bible boy is downstairs. Today we're going to talk about a book, actually, something that I've read and Jake hasn't. So he's just here for moral support.
Who's doing the book reviews now?
He's just here for moral support because I don't like to do individual videos.
I'm very excited. I'm excited to learn about Fourth Wing because this book has been like insanely popular on the internet, and the sequel's coming out and everyone's talking about it. It's big on TikTok, so I'm just curious. I have no idea.
Well, the Fourth Wing. It's going to be a very quick, like, non-spoiler section, and then I really want to get into the spoiler. So overall, it's about this world where it's at a war with the outside world. So and
fantasy, right?
It's a fantasy. Yep. And there's magic system. And the only way that they're able to basically keep their world secure is through riders for dragons and dragons themselves. Reading the book overall, it was entertaining. Although it was presented as new adult, it's really like very young adult, I think.
Oh.
Well, I don't know.
Well, new adult is like YA, but with slightly older characters.
Yeah. Well, okay. I can't say that because there is a lot of like sex scenes in there. Besides
right, it's
that,
like YA with explicit sex.
Yeah. Besides that, it felt very like I was reading Twilight kind of thing sometimes. Mm-hmm. The magic system is nice. But
you like Twilight, right?
No, I don't. I like to make fun of Twilight.
Oh, it's okay to like Twilight.
Yeah, but I don't.
Oh, okay. You like the movie?
Yes, we watched it together. We made fun of it.
I think it's a fine piece of entertainment. Don't listen to it.
I haven't read the Twilight book, so I can't like say, but I know that Stephanie Myers was a producer and I think helped with the script, so it just sounded very much like that, more teeny romance instead of like an older character who was developed, and most of that was through Violet. She's in this love triangle. So the way that she describes the people that she has crushes on, one in particular, it's very high schooly, like, you know, but we're also told she has had experience in the past. So it's kind of like contradicts itself a little bit. However, I really like the ending. Although I predicted it, I also thought it was a nice ending. And I would read the second book just because of the magic system. I do think there's a lot of improvements, but wanting to know where it goes. So I would still read it. Recommend, kinda, because it's really hit or miss, I think. I would give it probably like a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10?
Yeah.
But you read it really fast. I thought you
I read it really fast because it's an easy read.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
But also I'm a binge reader. What do I read that like is not, it's an easy read.
I just thought
and the magic system kept it going. And then by like, I would say 75% into it, I was kind of like already tired of it. But then
did you feel like you had to skim certain parts, or was it?
I didn't skim anything, but I wish some of the exposition was less. Not, you know, it's just a lot of exposition. But I read a lot of Christina Dodd's. I haven't read her book in a while, but I've read a lot of Christina Dodd's book, and you know, Christina Dodd does that too in her writing, and I kind of do tend to skim her book a little bit through those areas. But this is not like as long as some of the other books, so I just kind of felt like it was easier. Also, because it's magic system, I did like have a strong tendency to skip certain things, but I was like, some things were just not explained correctly, or I felt like I missed it. So I kind of...
So the world building wasn't very strong, would you say?
It wasn't, and I'll get into that in the spoiler. So I always felt like I was looking for an explanation. I did skim like maybe a chapter, and then I reread it because I was like...
Did you miss something?
Did I miss something? So I like... You know, that was kind of happening. So I think I would have probably skimmed it a little bit more, which doesn't necessarily say that it's a bad book. It's just like means that like, oh, I don't really care about this part. Because some authors do a lot of descriptions. I don't really care about a lot of descriptions sometimes when I understand the point. Or
well, fantasy is different in that sense where you're reading it because you want to feel the world and feel what it's like. And that requires a lot of description.
I did feel the world. I didn't feel like some of the logic was there or thought out. All the way. So
you typically read a lot of crime. You like crime
That's
stories.
That's like 95% what I read, I think.
Yeah, and you like fantasy, but you don't read a lot of fantasy. So
it's really hard for me to get into fantasy, which is why I was like excited for this one because I'm in a book club.
Yeah.
And they recommended that, and this was sold out, and I just figured because it was sold out, it must be really good. To be honest,
certainly popular.
Like. Yeah, it's not. I'm still searching for that, like a really good fantasy book. So
There is a
comment
kind
if
of
you...
fantasy YA sort of new adult genre that is huge, especially on TikTok, where it seems like if you hit certain criteria, it is sure to be like a bestseller. And if it gets certain traction on TikTok with a certain genre of reader, like certain group of readers, then it'll take off. And books like, I think, Fourth Wing, but Lightlark, that was another big phenomenon on TikTok that was like self-marketed by the author. There's been some other ones, but it basically feels like it's sort of capturing the people who read a lot of YA growing up, but they're adults now and they want something YA, but a little spicy, with a little bit of the sex and the romance a little tuned up more. And
I do like that because I'm an adult and I don't want to read like I don't want to feel like I'm reading like a teenage book.
But I also notice a lot of books written now feel like YA.
Yeah.
They're written YA with the kind more shallow, just not a lot of deep ideas going on, but it's just like with the sex. So then it's adult book, but it kind of reads like YA in a sense. I don't know if that's the case here, but that's what I see.
Definitely explicit sex, yeah.
Would the book be as good without the sex?
No.
So people are buying this for porn.
No, I don't think so. It gets going on at the very end.
So when the sequel comes out, are you just going to skim for the sex scenes?
Yes. No, just kidding. I don't know. I like the ending of it. So I think that there is some hope for the second book to be better. I mean, I could see I saw why I sold a lot of copies. I definitely did. There is the magic system there. It is entertaining. It is the romancy. And, I think, yeah.
Right.
Spoilers? 3,
Spoiler
2,
talk.
1. All right. I wrote notes because I actually read this a while ago when I was talking about the world building aspect of it. Saddles.
What is saddles?
When you ride a horse and there's a saddle.
Yeah.
There's no saddles. They ride dragons, but there are no saddles.
Wait.
But, okay, hold on.
This is your biggest issue with the book.
Let me make it make more sense.
All right.
Violet, who is referred to as Violence, I believe, by Zane, one of the love interests, is sent to so there's like different types of people with different jobs. One of them being a scribe, one of them being a writer. Writers are people who ride on dragons. And she's supposed to be a scribe, yet her mother, who's portrayed as ruthless, wants her to be a writer. In this academy...
Not a writer, a writer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But in this academy, it's kind of like almost like Hogwarts-ish, where they learn, but not except, they learn to ride dragons. It's very ruthless or whatever. Lots of people can die. However, we're meant to believe that they're in this world where there aren't enough people. People are literally falling off of dragons. A saddle would help, don't you think?
So a big issue is people falling off dragons?
It's an issue, yeah.
And they don't have saddles?
They don't have saddles. I don't think so. Unless I missed something. Tell me if I did, but yeah.
Would a dragon not like a saddle? It's just like...
I don't know. People are just... It's also why are you letting so many people die in the academy when you're short on people? Can we make some safety rules happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We don't have enough people. Let's send them to academy, not the, even though we're, short on people in the war, so that they can just die. I mean, there's, a little bit safer training, I feel like they would have thought of, right?
Right. So it's like an academy. So it's like a school sort of situation?
Yeah, because what happens is they, go to school, they learn about dragons, they learn how to ride dragons, and what happens is the dragon picks their rider. And what makes Violet so unique is that 2 dragons pick her instead of 1, which hasn't happened. And the reason 2 dragons pick her is because a small dragon, these group of bullies, try to kill the small dragon. She basically saves the small dragon. The small dragon ends up picking her too.
Can I just say this book looks very nice, and I feel like that has something to do with
I have to say this is one of the nicest books that I own. I really love the simplicity and also this. I really love it.
I'm wondering if publishers are starting to think we need to have these extra little frills on the book because part of the appeal, It seems
so
almost
pretty.
like we've entered an era where it's less about the content of the book and more about how is it going to look on a shelf.
I will say,
and coveting it as an item,
look good,
an object.
if it doesn't look good, I don't read it. Also, one of my cringiest thing, this is that if like fantasy novels, no matter how good it's described, has actual people who are like sexy posing, like I'm like, it just turns me off. I really like that I can just imagine whoever the people are through their descriptions, and then I don't see them here. So the other one is that like Violet's mom, and this is a criticism, is, she's ruthless. She sends her daughter out to this academy where it's dangerous, right? To be a writer instead of a scribe like she wanted to be. And doesn't really show much care at all. When two dragons pick her and the young dragon Goldie picks Violet as well, and they don't really know much about young dragons. She asks her daughter, like, do you want to study her? And Violet, I believe she says like they want to experiment on her. I don't understand either, because a dragon chooses the rider, so why would they want to experiment on like a young dragon? Wouldn't that like turn dragons off and not help them anymore? Be like, go with the other side, like, you know what I mean? So that's also something that didn't make sense.
Is there like a limited dragon resource in this world? Like Game of Thrones, they have very few dragons. Like, is it?
I don't think so, but that wouldn't make unless I missed something. But that also wouldn't make sense to me, because why are the bullies trying to kill the young dragon if that was the case, right? Like, they're just like ruthless, but not as much logic about why it's ruthless like this. I have to talk about the sexual tension.
Ooh.
It's cringy as shit, but it also is entertaining because it makes me giggle.
So it's a triangle, right? It's like a love triangle.
Well, not really. So her best friend Dane, we think that like she might get with him because they grew up together. But then he like never believes her when she's trying to tell him this event happened, this person is trying to kill me. He's like, that can't be true. Mm-hmm. Her best friend Dane also makes it very clear that he, because he's a big rule follower, that he'd rather follow the rule than ever save her. So that basically solidifies Zane, who's described as real hot, as the love interest. And also, like, they hate each other at first. Zane's dad, like, they think he's a traitor or whatever and killed, like, a member of her family. But it's also, like, she's, like, can't stop looking at him, finds him, like, super attractive and all those things like that. So it's kind of like, I hate you too, I love you. One of the dragons, the older dragon that she, that chooses her, is in a relationship with Zane's dragon. So they're mating. So that basically, is like, yeah, okay, her and Zane have to get together because,
But they don't.
They don't, because he turns out to be, the world that she knew was correct, it turns out to be wrong. And at the end, like, he betrays her. And then she's like, I don't trust you, but you know that they're going to get back together. It's just, So yeah, some of the ways that they, like, the writer keeps saying the same words over and over again about how attractive he is and how much she wants to climb on him.
Okay.
So it's like funny but cringy at the same time. Mm-hmm. Also, the writer gets their abilities from the dragon. So it's really funny because the first time her and Zane have sex, there's like lightning, because that's one of the dragons, the older dragon's power, and then they like have a lot of lightning and they like break furniture or whatever, and it's like funny. Also, like, they're talking about protection, which I appreciate, but it's just funny. Like, Zane's dragon and Violet's dragon are having sex in one chapter. And because the dragons sometimes forget to shut their humans out, so they feel the emotions of the dragon, basically. So both...
Wait, so there's dragons having sex and they're like, oh my god, I can feel my dragon.
Yeah, they're like very horny. She walks out like very horny and Zane's there. It's like, yeah, I need to get some air because, they forget to shut us out sometimes. And then they start to try to like pre-sex a little bit. Then Zane's like, oh, we're both horny right now because of our dragon, so let's stop. And I just think that's like really funny and cringy, Mm-hmm. Stuff like that, you see, it's like a little cringy but funny. I don't know, it's an entertaining factor to it. So yeah.
So what besides the love triangle was there like any other like narrative going on or other stories and stuff?
Yeah. So no.
At least none you can remember.
Except for like, yeah, none that I can remember. I read this like 3 weeks ago. But except that, you know, there's a war. Like they're at a war, you know, and yeah. And basically what happens is that Violet's mom is a true traitor, I think, because she's painting the other side as bad, but then it turns out at the end that they're not as bad, and Zane's working for the other side. But once it's explained, it's like, oh, actually he's on the good side. He's trying to like not, you know, stop this bloody war with misconfirmation basically that's been happening. Also, in the beginning of the book, we learned that Violet's brother was killed, but he is actually alive at the end. And, you know, that's probably where the second book is going to be, is we're going to see the other side of it a little bit more. The world also felt very small to me because it's just the academy, and there wasn't like, it just kind of felt like a dorm room in my imagination with a big like arena of like, you know, training, and they go to the sky and stuff.
Didn't feel like a big world.
It didn't feel like a big world because we're so isolated in that area, but I'm sure like it could feel like a big world in the next book. Also, when you see the map in the book, the beginning map, you can see kind of, it's like a little bit like you could see kind of the surrounding area right here, the continent.
Looks nice.
Yeah, it looks very nice. I also love books with maps. This right here, where is it? Like you'll see this little like academy area right here, and you can see just how small it is. Yeah, it's a little small when you think of it just like that way, right? But couple things that I really liked. I liked that Violet was a little weak. In the beginning, I just thought like she's weak because she's supposed to be a scribe, but ended up becoming a writer because of her mom. So she is weak because she hasn't trained enough. She was never like prepared. But then it's kind of more hinted that she's weaker than others. So I think that she has like something like more of a disability going on, and I like the representation of that. I just wish they would explicitly say like why she's so weak. They do talk about like her needing to strengthen her legs and all that stuff. So I hope they go more into that because I think it's pretty cool, the main character.
I have a question for you, because you said that she was forced to being a writer by her mom. Does any of the tension fall out of the book because it feels like she doesn't have agency, or did it feel like she had agency and it was a proactive character the whole time? Or did it feel like she was just kind of being dragged through the story?
No, I felt like she has agency because she's very defiant and she's very stubborn and she knows what like her ways, but it's also like her older sister is supposed to be like one of the best writers ever. Her brother got killed, and it just seems like her mom is ruthless. She has agency and she doesn't. Like I think like a lot of people in this world don't have agency. Like they were all like nervous about like not having a dragon choose them, getting killed or whatever, and it's kind of like we're living in these are people who grew up in war. The sense of agency is more so like she's able to make her decisions to a point, but at the same time, she had no say in being a writer. So when it comes to her family, she doesn't have agency. But when it comes to her agency in the academy, as far as like who she ends up with, who she wants to be friends with, what she wants to do, she seems to have agency. Again, I really like that 2 dragons chose her instead of 1. It made it more interesting. The young dragon doesn't seem to have the ability to do much, and it is later revealed that the young dragon does have power, and it's to stop time. It was cool. It's a really cool power, but it also felt a little convenient. But nonetheless, I thought it was cool power, so I really liked that. However, the older dragon seemed so stern and lack of personality, except that, you know, so it's kind of like I don't know how to feel about it, because we have that young dragon who's like very like bubbly, and we have the older dragon who's like sick of life. It seems, except for when she has sex with her other dragon, you know? So I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah. I think overall, it's a good book in the sense that it's entertaining. I like the ending. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next. Besides the sex, it's really just too young for me. And had I known that part, I would have probably, I don't know if I would have bought it, to be honest with you, but had I bought it, I would have probably skimmed through a lot of it with the knowledge that a lot of things kind of just don't add up. probably. I mean, I haven't read other reviews of the book, so I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Granted, I read this 3 weeks ago, but let me know if I missed anything. If you read it. If you haven't read it, would you read it? And if you have read it, let me know what your opinion is in general. You know, and because I'm still searching for a really good fantasy book, if you know any, then put it in the comments so that I can read it.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.